Guys, the PTR is up for 8.1 and Elemental Shaman changes are in there. We have the new talents. We have changes to specific abilities. We have Stormkeeper overhaul. Maybe not overhaul, but still, guys, everything is in. The PTR is up. You should be testing it if you haven't yet. It's pretty incredible. In this video, we're going to go through all the changes that are coming up between now and 8.1 and what those changes look like. So let's go ahead and dive into it. The big change coming on October 2nd is for Elemental Shaman's main abilities, Lightning Bolt, Chain Lightning, and Earthquake, all getting a 15% buff, which is a very significant adjustment that Blizzard's making. Specifically, this is likely, all these changes that are listed are likely targeting the PvE areas where Elemental has not necessarily been at the high point of where the spec has been. Specifically, Mythic Plus is being shut out of groups, raids being just not invited, those types of things. This will be a very significant increase, as this is something, these all abilities are huge for AoEs, for single target, and filling kind of an overall kind of raising of the ocean for Elemental Shaman, because these are mostly filler abilities. But in PvP, this is a little bit different because we aren't using Lightning Bolt, Chain Lightning, and Earthquake all that much. But if you think about it, it will impact Stormkeeper even before some of the other changes we're going to be talking about. So this is a very significant adjustment and is in line with Blizzard's whole mentality about Elemental Shamans are the only class that do lightning damage. Let's make them lightning spaghetti boys. They didn't say that last part, but I am. So this we'll have to see how this works out in PvP, but in PvE, this is a overall huge raise of the roof. Now, meatballs are not in here, which is kind of interesting, and I think there is a definite move away from Lava Burst focus. PTR already has those plus 15% to Lightning Bolt, Chain Lightning, Earthquake. The first change, if we look kind of at talents, is Earthen Rage is now in tier 1. It was moved from, I think, the 90 tier to tier 1. Second is, and that means the other talent, which I never took and forgot about, is gone. Now, another change is Master of the Elements. Master of the Elements now includes increasing the damage of physical abilities. Now, what's physical ability? Earthquake. That is a physical spell that we're casting. So big change for that, because I know a lot of people are saying, well, hey, I'm stacking Earthquakes, or I'm using a lot of Earthquakes, not doing any damage. Well, now they're going to do 20% more damage if you go this trait. So this is a buff to that. The 45 tier hasn't changed. It's the 60 tier, a new talent called Call of Thunder. Call of Thunder, the maximum Maelstrom increased by 30, and your Maelstrom costs of Earthshock and Earthquake go down by 10, meaning that in PvE, you will be able to stack Earthquakes. And with this change, it makes Earthquake only cost 50 Maelstrom, which means you can do 2 with a full bar of Maelstrom. And if you have 130 Maelstrom because you have this trait, you have almost 2.5. So that's pretty awesome there. The reduction on Earthshock is particularly awesome for PvP, because now if we take Elemental Attunement and we take this talent, if you see here, I have 180 Maelstrom. And if I take Aftershock, that means I can do up to, 3 Earthshocks that I know are going to hit. And earlier I was testing it and I got up to 5 that were procced from Aftershock, which is crazy because they all do that full cost of Maelstrom. Remember, guys, it's different now. Earthshock does not depend on the amount of Maelstrom you have, which was the way it's always been done for a long time. And it now just costs a fixed set of Maelstrom. So just dumping that many into them, 5 could be a huge burst potential for LA, a little RNG, but still. Another change is to this talent, which is a brand new talent, Surge of Power. Earthshock now also enhances the next spell. Flame Shock, after you Earthshock, it doesn't get a cooldown, and we'll show you what these look like here in a second, but let's just run through them. Flame Shock, the next cast does not incur a cooldown. Lightning Bolt, your next 3 casted will cause an additional elemental overload, which is amazing because that means 100% it's going to happen, which is interesting because our Mastery is a chance for that to happen, and this is a 100% chance. So it makes Mastery seem like it's even less valuable. Lava Burst. Lava Burst reduces the cooldown of Flame Elemental by 6 seconds. This could be a great one for single targeting. And then Frost Shock, which is an awesome one for PvP. Frost Shock freezes the target in place for 6 seconds. This means you dump some damage into them, and then you can Frost Shock them to root them for 6 seconds, which is pretty crazy, especially if it's coming out of an Earthshock stun. And then the last changes in the talents are Stormkeeper. This is actually a very big deal. Stormkeeper, your next 2 lightning bolts will now deal 250% more damage, and also cause your next 2 lightning bolts or chain lightning to be instant cast and trigger an elemental overload. Wait a minute, but that's pretty much the same. Well, it's a little bit different. They included the plus 250% damage of that Stormkeeper. Everything else is pretty much the same, but what's important is how this synergizes with Surge of Power, because when they buff your next lightning bolts are going to do 250% more damage. That's also buffing the overload to do 250% more damage, which is, if you go Surge of Power, also buffing the third overload. So you can overload 3 times, and that is huge burst potential. And like I said earlier, they're definitely aligning us to be lightning boys. We're going to be spaghetti monsters. So those are the changes kind of just here. Now let's go in. Oh, actually, there's 2 other changes. One is Elemental Blast can now cause an elemental overload, which means that it can proc with our mastery and give 2 different stats when it goes out. Ice Fury can now elemental overload it also. Now, I want to show you guys this because this is emotional. We're going to use, let's just go through the testing. I just Ice Fury, it did 3k, it did not overload. If it did overload it, it would do like 2 more, and then that would do about 5k. Still not worth it in PvP right now. This is, and so, I mean, it would be great to have that School of Magic back, but it's just not going to happen right now. So let's go ahead and let's test some of this stuff out. I'm going to go out of Earthen Rage. I think it could be good, especially in BGs, because Lava Burst is now becoming less valuable for PvP unless you're weaving things with Master of the Elements. But let's go ahead and I'm going to get some Maelstrom, and we're going to start testing some stuff, specifically with Call of Thunder and Surge of Power. Now, Call of Thunder, this row is been kind of interesting. Storm Elemental does single target damage, but because of Flame Elemental's ability to generate Maelstrom, a lot of people aren't going it in PvP and PvE. For Liquid Magma was parsing better than Storm Elemental because of the whole generation of Maelstrom thing. And this trait was taken almost all the time, even for single target. Now this talent, increasing maximum Maelstrom by 30, I don't think is that great for a single target boss fight, but it could be good for stacking up Maelstrom for big AoE packs with Earthquake. Otherwise, the reduction of the cost is really what's great here. So that's just something to know. And then Surge of Power, it just on this row, it just seems like almost like a default pick for PvE and PvP. So Primal Elemental could be good for the defensive abilities from your pets for PvP, but still. All right, let's go ahead and let's take a quick look here. I have my abilities showing here. So I have Maelstrom, right? Let's go ahead and go through Surge of Power. I'm going to Earth Shock. I'm going to Earth Shock, and now I'm going to Frost Shock, and now I can Frost Shock 2 targets, boys. There it is. And that's all it took. All right, that's that. That's how that works. Let's go ahead and get the Maelstrom back. Let's do Lightning Bolt next. Now, the Lightning Bolt one is very interesting, and you got to pay attention very closely. Okay, so the one is I'm going to Earth Shock, and then I have to activate it by casting my first Lightning Bolt. And now it gives me this buff of Surge of Power. So you have to do 1 boring Lightning Bolt, and then 3 exciting Lightning Bolts. Now when I Lightning Bolt, it will give me an overload 100%. Hit twice. I'm going to do it again. Hit twice. See what I mean? So now we know that they're going to get that additional overload. But again, just to reiterate, you have to do 1 Lightning Bolt first to activate it for the next 3 Lightning Bolts. Okay? That's very, very important, especially for weaving abilities using Master of the Elements, and we'll go over that in a second. The next change is related to, let's go for Lava Burst. I mean, that's 6-second reduction. We won't show that. And then the Frost Shock one, though. It just feels so good, everybody. Just watch this. Ready? Earth Shock. Oh, wrong keybind. And then a root. There it is. A root of 6 seconds. That's going to be huge. It's going to be a huge, huge, huge deal. And so that's kind of the new Surge of Power, which is a pretty awesome trait. Now, what I want to show you guys is some of the burst potential using some of this power. So, and we can see it through, the details, and we can see it through some of this. So let's do the first one. We're going to go ahead and we're going to get maximum Maelstrom, which with Call of Thunder is 180 Maelstrom. All right, we got that. Now the next thing to do is to go into Aftershock. We want to see how many Earth Shocks we can do. Now, let's just see how many we can do with a full 180 Maelstrom. Here it is. All right, ready? We're going to go ahead and do it. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 is pretty good. I procced only on 1. Let's try it one more time. All right, let's go ahead and test it one more time. Let's see if I can get to 5. 1, 2. That refunded. 3, 4. Nah, 4. All right. It's not bad, especially, I mean, 5 is probably excessive earlier. So the another thing to note, guys, is that now this is going to unlock some of our new, some of our Azurite traits for maybe being more important. Now that Lightning Bolt and Chain Lightning are going to be pretty great for PvE and PvP. It's not clear how all the Azurite traits are affecting PvP. For example, giving me this static buff of Intellect from Synapse Shock. Not really clear on how great that is, but let me know in the comments below if you think and you've tried out certain builds on the PTR and you think they're going to be really cool to explore beyond just the Lava Shock build. Now, What we're going to go into next, guys, is the burst. You guys have been waiting for it. You want to know what the details are. All right, guys, you've been waiting to see what the burst looks like. We're going to go ahead and use it with this trait. Master of the Elements gives me, if I weave abilities through, it should give me the maximum amount of damage on here. And what it looks like, you're going to see the spells right here, and you're going to see the damage on the right side. Obviously, there's going to be a lot going on. So what we want to do is Earthshock Lightning Bolt. That'll activate the better Lightning Bolts. So, and then we're going to use that with the Stormkeeper. So here we go. Earthshock. I'm going to Lightning Bolt to activate the Lightning Bolts. I'm going to use Drop Sky Fury to cheat. I use Stormkeeper. I'm going to Lava Burst, which gives me the 20% buff, and then I'm going to Lightning Bolt. No crits, but I hit about 45k, and we do it again. Holy shit. 45k, 17k, 15k. If I'm going to do some quick math here, that's about 70k burst. Obviously, this is a PvE target. Damage is a little bit higher than you would expect, but that is sick. That is only on one crit. So now the builds might be way more heavy focused on crit, because Lava Burst is still hitting for 8k overloading to, you know, another 7, so that's 15. But that's nowhere near the burst that can come through just with Lightning Bolt. And how, okay, the question might be, okay, well, Tiqqle, you said 15% damage earlier. Well, what are they hitting for? Let's go ahead and look. They're not hitting for that impressive of numbers. Single target, I'm still hitting for 4, overloading for 3. That's not as good as the Lava Burst. Lava Burst is doing double because it's always critting. You know what I mean? So it's not the best, but it is not worthless is the thought. And then when we have our burst window, like we're getting another one here, let's go ahead and do it. There's going to be a lot of numbers on the screen, but here we go. Ready? We won't use Sky Fury, okay? Earthshock, I'm going to Lava Burst. And then I'm going to go ahead and use, that's a 37k. That's a 37k. Are you kidding me right now? Now, the burst really comes with synergizing the Surge of Power and Stormkeeper. Stormkeeper makes you do a main Lightning Bolt and an overloaded one, both at 250% damage. Surge of Power allows you to do a third. So now you're dedicating, you know 100% you're going to do 3 Lightning Bolts. 2 of them will be overloaded, but that's okay. But they're both all going to be buffed by 250% from that Stormkeeper. And that's where the burst potential comes from. So that's what we're going to be doing in PvP. That's the single target potential that we could be doing. Now, there's been a lot of questions about, okay, well, Tiqqle, I'm reading this, and it says it's going to give me 2 instant cast Lightning Bolts or Chain Lightnings. Well, yeah, this only affects Lightning Bolts, guys. The 250% damage only affects Lightning Bolts, which is a very good and very big clarification, because we use Stormkeeper, at least in PvP, to generate a ton of Maelstrom right now, right? And now you're going to have to make a choice. Do you want to be using that burst single target for those potentially huge crits? Like, we'll do it again right now. We're going to Lightning Bolt. We're going to Lava Burst. Hello? 14, 17, 17, 17. I mean, it's crazy. You're doing about 14k single target non-crit. So I think the crits go up to 45 because you're overloading so hard. So, but the question is, okay, well, that's great, but you're not going to be generating that much Maelstrom by doing that. Well, it's true and it's not true, right? The more times you overload, so a Lightning Bolt with 2 overloads will give you those Maelstrom for each time it overloads. It will be nothing compared to Chain Lightning from Stormkeeper, but it's still pretty decent. So that's something you have to keep in mind as well. But in general, yeah, it kind of weakens the Chain Lightning play on Stormkeeper, but maybe that's for the best. Maybe that's a single target dream. So now, guys, again, you know, we have Lava Shock in PvP for single target burst, which is still pretty decent. And now we have Stormkeeper, which is doing crazy crits. And now the enemies can see us casting it, which is a little bit more fair than just insane Earthshocks. So combining these 2 things together, having to do the single, I mean, weaving these things together, you could do like potentially in PvP, you could get full, like let's say we're in PvP, right? And we're gonna like, oh, what are we gonna do? We need to kill this guy. We need to get him dead. Okay, well, I have full Maelstrom. I could do, okay, so I Earthshock, and it stuns him. And then I go ahead and I Stormkeeper, and then I could stun, Lightning Bolt, and then use like an instant cast. I could stun him again with 2 Earthshock stuns, and then go throw out another Lightning Bolt. I think in PvP we'll probably be taking Aftershock just for the potential of more Earthshock stuns. But I think that's kind of the weaving that we're gonna have to do, is using Earthshock stuns to Lightning Bolt burst, and then Earthshock stun again, Lightning Bolt burst again. Like that type of combination, that's what I'm gonna be trying out as much as I can before this comes out in 8.1. Now, this is pretty much the whole slew of changes that are coming for Ele so far. Some people aren't that happy about the mouse regeneration. Some people aren't happy about the Earthshine, but this does give us a little bit more of an edge, and I do think very positively, and I think optimistically, this means that we're going to be a little bit better, in a better spot than where we are in 8.0 right now, which is not that great from a PvE and PvP. And then specifically, you know, these changes for Lightning Bolt and Chain and Lightning are coming out on Tuesday, and what's it going to mean for PvP? I don't know, because we aren't casting either of those abilities. But it is going to affect your Stormkeepers. I mean, even if your Stormkeeper won't change to be a buff 250%, it's at least going to change the ones that you are casting, so that is good news. Secondly, like, in PvE sense, this will be immediately effective in terms of those buffs to Chain Lightning to Lightning Bolt. That's going to help us in Mythic Pluses a lot and hopefully make us way more competitive. So guys, I want to know what you think of these changes. This has been kind of a longer video about testing on the PTR, but I've gone through all the changes. We've gone through the talents. We've gone through the spells. We've gone through some potential combos. We've gone through how it kind of lines up and what the numbers look like. Let me know in the comments what you think. Is this going to change Elemental's outlook? Is this going to change the community's view of Ele? What is it going to do? And what types of builds do you think are going to be great for Azerite power? And guys, don't forget, like this video and subscribe to the channel. We are streaming at least 4 days a week now, on Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, Sunday, all over the place. So we'll see you guys on the stream. Come let me know your thoughts, and have a good one, boys.